There are some places on earth that you cannot go to a restaurant, have a drink, and get in your car and drive. We call these zero tolerance laws. Florida does not have such a law. It is perfectly legal to drink alcohol, get in your car and drive in the state of Florida. However, you cannot drive if your normal faculties are impaired. You have to judge that for yourself, but you will have handcuffs if you are noticeably impaired by the officer. Now, I want to talk to you about a recent case where there are rules for taking somebody who has done something perfectly legal, which is, yeah, I went to dinner and I had a drink. Yeah, I got in my car. I do this all the time. Many of you do this all the time. But my normal faculties aren't impaired. And there are rules that the officer, hoops that the officer has to jump through in order to arrest you for DUI. These rules can be tricky. We attorneys like to nitpick these rules, and there's a recent case that kind of goes through some of the hoops. One of the things that's interesting about DUI law in Florida is that just because somebody sees you drunk driving, and even if the cop believes them, that does not mean you get arrested for DUI. If I come home one night and I am really drunk and I'm driving, which I would never do, I hope, my neighbor sees me and she calls the police and she says, I know John when he's sober. John is drunk and he's driving around the neighborhood. He's doing loops. We have a big loop in my neighborhood and you got to come arrest him. And by the time the cop gets there, let's say I'm already in my house. The cop cannot come and arrest me for DUI. One of the very important rules about DUIs is that you cannot arrest someone for DUI as an officer unless you personally witness the person driving under the influence, right? Not just driving, you have to witness them driving under the influence. So in my case, I don't care how many witnesses, how many of my neighbors say I was drunk driving. Nope, I'm not getting arrested for DUI because this particular crime needs an officer to witness it. That's number one. Number two, what is interesting is that the officer does not need to witness it, and he can put the handcuffs on me if an accident is involved and the officer is investigating an accident. So same scenario, I'm driving crazy in the neighborhood, driving drunk, and I hit a tree. But by the time the cop gets there, I've already got out. I'm chilling, I'm talking to the very neighbors that called the police on me. Guess what, folks? Even though nobody saw me driving, under Florida law, because there was an accident involved, the officer can still arrest me even though he never saw me driving. That's one of the exceptions. The third exception to the rule, you actually can get arrested for DUI even though the officer arresting you did not see you do it. The third one is if another officer sees you drunk driving. That is what we call the fellow officer rule. Those are the three ways that you can get arrested for DUI. So we have this case Castillo. We're gonna start from the perspective of an off-duty cop. We got this off-duty cop in Miami and he is driving home. But you know what happens? He gets stuck in gridlock. And I mean gridlock to the point of where he can get out of his car to go see what is happening. And that is exactly what he did. It was so locked up, he got out of his car, walked all the way up to see what was happening. What was happening? Castillo was happening because he was drunk, falling on his face drunk up there, and the people up there, basically Castillo's car had just blocked everything. He fell asleep at the wheel, just created a big mess, and there could be a crime of just creating gridlock, but there wasn't in this case. And the officer had to call another Miami police department because this officer was outside of his jurisdiction. And look, we have rules on jurisdiction. I've done videos on those. Officers do not have free reign to just go arrest anybody anywhere, right? You've got to be inside your jurisdiction. He radios, they come, they arrest Castillo. Castillo challenges the DUI arrest for exactly the point that we're making. We have rules on how you can arrest somebody for DUI if you have not witnessed it as an officer. You know, Castillo said, the officer that arrested me never saw me driving, never saw me near my car. I was already taken to the side by some out of jurisdiction officer. Anyway, Castillo lost his appeal because you know what I'm about to say, which is the fellow officer rule does apply to out of jurisdiction officers. So because this out of jurisdiction Miami officer went ahead and said, this is what I observed, this guy drunk in actual physical control of this car, that was enough to convict Castillo. There are lots of rules, folks, on whether or not the officers even get to arrest you for DUI. This is just one of those examples. And of course, you know what I've been doing for over 3 decades here in Central Florida. If you need help on a DUI, I hope that you'll give my office a call. I'm sure we can help out. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. Take care.